What's up guys, JNO here, and welcome to a new series I'm doing for FMScout. That's right, we're not doing Rumours to Reality, we are doing the NeXt, and as you can see on the screen, we are doing the NeXt Thierry Henry. That's right, we're going to go through the game, see if we can find the next person that can play similar or better than the legend that was Thierry Henry. Now I've managed to find a screenshot of his stats from Championship Manager in the season 2001-2002, and as you can see at the time he had some amazing stats. I believe this was before the Invincible season off the top of my head, but those stats were great and he was a great player at this time. He was age 23, so he was pretty damn good, and let's see if we can, in the current Football Manager, find a player that is as or almost as good as Thierry Henry, although it's probably going to be a hard task because Thierry Henry was one of the best players I, at least, have had the pleasure of watching in person. Let's see if we can actually find another gem like Thierry Henry. Okay, so as you can see, I'm Arsenal manager and it is 2020. What I did do when I started this series, when I started recording and simming for the season, is I bought some players that I thought could be like Thierry Henry for Arsenal, made sure they had some game time in the first couple of seasons. But then I realised there's so many players I'm actually missing out on as far as who could potentially be the next Thierry Henry, that I resigned and simmed to 2020, and now we're just going to go through this database and see if anyone's evolved to a level that is similar to Thierry Henry. Now if we go back to the image of Thierry Henry's stats, the major things we are looking for is acceleration, aggression, agility, balance, dribbling, finishing, flair, pace, technique and work rate. Now I have a list of players that I've found and we're going to go through them from the honourable mentions to the very best of the best, but all of these players I reckon with training, especially if they're controlled by a human manager, could play similar to Thierry Henry. Okay, the first honourable mention goes to Manolo Gabbiadini. As you can see, he's 28 years old in 2020, and he's a pretty good all-round player who can play in all of the forward attacking positions. If we look at the stats that matter, his dribbling isn't amazing, but it's good. Finishing is 16. Work rate is 13. Flair is 14. I think flair is very important to have a player that is similar to Thierry Henry. Acceleration, agility, balance and pace are all good, so he's close to emulating Thierry Henry. He's also got the height. Thierry Henry was quite tall for the kind of fast player that he was. And if we have a look at his history, when I actually forced him into the team, he had 32 appearances, 11 goals, 3 assists and a 7.21 rating. But he kind of tailed off after that. He still got game time, but he just didn't do that great. Now I'm including this guy even though he is well known, purely because I think you could probably train him into this position, as when the game starts he's quite young, and that player is Isco. He's going to cost you a fair bit, he's got quite a big reputation, but if we have a look at the stats, we have dribbling at 19, we have finishing at 14, we have flair at 19, we have work rate at 12, we have acceleration of 15, agility of 14, balance at 18, and the pace isn't that high. Again, he's not a tiny player, so I reckon this is a player you could definitely train to play that kind of style of football similar to Thierry Henry. As far as his history goes, in the first season, 7.72 rating, 37 games, 15 goals, 13 assists, 7 player of the matches. If he could emulate that every season, I think you're looking at a player that could definitely emulate Thierry Henry. Okay, the next option we have is 25 in 2020, and he is Angel Correa. Now I apologise if I get some of these names wrong. As it's been mentioned before, people that do videos on this channel are English and our pronunciation of foreign names can be off sometime. This guy was actually bought by Arsenal after I'd retired, and if we look at his stats, he's now valued at 35 million by the way. He has dribbling of 16, finishing of 13, his work rate is 13, his flair is up there at 19, acceleration 16, agility 16, balance isn't that great but the pace is up there as well, and he likes to run with the ball as a preferred move. And if we have a look at his history, when he moved to Olympique Marseille from Atletico Madrid for 8.25 million, that's when his performances started to improve. 37 appearances, 8 goals, 10 assists. 34 appearances, 10 goals, 11 assists. Then he moved to Arsenal for 33 million, 37 appearances, 12 goals, 13 assists. And his average rating just keeps getting better and better. Okay, this is a player I did buy for Arsenal, hoping he would turn into the next Thierry Henry, but he's now moved on to Real Madrid when I left the club. His name is Domenico Berardi, and he is 25 years old and valued at 16.25 million. As we can see, we haven't scouted him completely, so we don't know his stats 100%, but his dribbling is between 13 to 15, his finishing is 15, his flair is 13 to 16, his work rate is pretty average at 11, acceleration and agility around 14, could be 16 on agility, balance isn't great, and his pace is 16. If we have a look at his history, when I actually made sure he got some game time for Arsenal, he had 21 appearances, 12 goals and 3 assists with a 7.42 rating. Since then, his average rating went down and down until this season with Real Madrid, where it went up to 6.94 when he actually got a significant amount of game time, 33 games, 9 goals. So he is someone that you could probably train up to that stage, although he is going to cost you a bit of money to bring in. Now we are moving on to the cream of the crop of the players I think could be the next Thierry Henry with some training and managing by an FM player. The next lot are all pretty equal footing as far as comparisons go, apart from the winner of this series, who I'm really impressed with. But we'll first talk about Erik Lamela. Now yes, I was surprised that when I searched stats wise for a player similar to Thierry Henry, that this guy came up. We can see he had dribbling 15, finishing 14, flair of 18, work rate of 15, acceleration 16, agility 14 to 17, 12 to 14 balance, and pace of 15. And he's quite tall as well, which is similar to Thierry Henry. So if you had Erik Lamela or you started as Tottenham, you could train him up as a complete forward, and I don't think you'd be disappointed with the results. If we look at his history, we can see that in the very first season, 35 games, 12 goals, 1 assist, and he's consistently scored and assisted, but not been outstanding at Tottenham. That may be because Tottenham haven't been outstanding themselves. If we go into the scout report, we can see he's got the ability to do the unexpected, which is one of the main reasons behind his ability to go past his man. I think that kind of scout report is the kind of scout report you probably get for Thierry Henry. Is a natural in several positions, is also ambitious and skillful. So I think Erik Lamela could definitely be used in that kind of complete forward or false nine role, which is similar to what Thierry Henry did for Arsenal. We then move on to a player that I didn't personally get myself, but doing the stat search has come up as a promising Thierry Henry wannabe, and that man is Kevin Volland. He was bought by Man City. He has dribbling of 14, finishing of 14, flair of 15, work rate of 18, acceleration, agility and balance all over 15, and pace at 14. Again, not the shortest of players, which is good, and can play in a significant amount of attacking positions. If we have a look at his career stats, we can see that his first move was to Real Madrid for 17.5 million. Didn't have the greatest of times there. Went to Man City for 14.5. That is where he had his best performances, all above 7 ratings. Probably his best season was the one where he had 21 games, scored 10 goals and got 4 assists. If we go into the scout report, we can see he has that high work rate. He's a natural in several positions and is a good team player. So I definitely think he's someone you could turn into the next Thierry Henry. And finally, the last of the ones just behind the player that I think is the most like Thierry Henry in the current game, that is Memphis Depay. Now I put him on the shortlist for Arsenal, and Arsenal did go and pick him up, but I wasn't actually involved in the transfer. If we have a look at the stats, you can see he has dribbling of 16, finishing of 13, flair is at 17, work rate 14, acceleration and agility 15 and 16 respectively, balance at 14, and pace at 17. We can see also, because he's at Arsenal, which is the club I manage, he's got shoots from distance, shoots with power, hits his free kicks with power, and also tries long range free kicks. He can play in a multitude of attacking positions. If we have a look at his history, we can see his first season at Arsenal was probably his best, with 36 appearances, 16 goals, 8 assists at 7.26 rating, although his ratings were better in the 2 seasons after. He just didn't convert as many chances or create as many chances. And if we have a look at the coach report, we can see world-class player, relishes the big matches, possesses great pace, which Thierry Henry definitely had, and is a natural in a couple of positions. Memphis Depay could be the man to be the next Thierry Henry, but he lost out to this man. Lucas Ocampos is the player I think you should try and pick up if you're looking for a Thierry Henry type striker. Now, I'm not sure if I put him on the shortlist for Arsenal when I was Arsenal manager at the beginning of my simulation, but he is the player that matches the stats the most, and this is without me trying to train him up to be a Thierry Henry player. If we have a look at the stats, we can see a dribbling of 17, his finishing could be improved but it is at 13, flair of 18, work rate of 14, acceleration, agility, balance and pace all above 15, tall as well, has some strength to him. Just look at the stats all across the board, they're pretty damn impressive. Best role as a striker is complete forward, followed closely by false 9. As you can see from preferred moves, we have cuts inside from both wings and runs with the ball often. If we have a look at his history, we can see that he was at Olympique Marseille, and just look at those average ratings. Apart from one season, it was always above 7.5. Maybe you can put that down to him having to acclimatise to the Premiership and the pressure of having a big money transfer. But you can see appearances 37, 19 goals, 16 assists. Appearances 34, 21 goals, 12 assists. Appearances 38, 15 goals, 8 assists. Appearances 18, 10 goals, 4 assists. Made the transfer, 18 appearances, 5 goals, 2 assists. And then in this last season, 30 appearances, 18 goals, 7 assists, 5 player of the matches, 7.71 rating. If we have a look at the coach report as well, naturally it is glowing. He's rated at 4.5 stars, world class player, ability to do the unexpected, which I think is a great trait to have if you're looking for a Thierry Henry player, relishes the big matches, skillful player, natural in a couple of positions, shows a fairly ambitious nature. And these stats are after he has declined slightly as a footballer over the last 3 months. So guys, Lucas Ocampos is the man I think you should pick up if you're trying to build an Arsenal invincible squad, or just trying to find a forward that is a complete player like Thierry Henry was. Hope you enjoyed this search in 2020 for a player similar to Thierry Henry. Leave in the comments down below who I should look for next. Maybe someone like Alan Shearer, an old legend that is no longer in the game. Let me see if I can find a player that is similar to that person. Ideally someone quite big so I can find a screenshot of their stats in a previous game. I've been JNO, it's been awesome being on the channel once again. Thank you for tuning in, smash that thumbs up button if you enjoy this series, and I will catch you guys next time.